Hello, good evening. Sorry I'm running late. I forgot I needed my heat gun and it was still in my box from the weekend. I've been really good. I got everything else out, but my heat gun I'd completely forgotten. I'm definitely going to need that one tonight. So just bear with while I set up my last little bit so I can see your lovely comments. If it wants to. What's that saying? More haste, less speed. Can't remember my own name. There we go. Right, so tonight, no. Thank you. There we go. Right. Full attention now. She says. Nearly. Right, full attention now. So. I've got gremlins, bear with. I am getting there. It's going to be one of them nights, isn't it? So, tonight is monthly make. It is Monday, so we're going to be playing with our lovely autumnal set. And I've been a bit inspired by a jumper Rosie made yesterday. And it's all in like stripes or in 2 different colours. So, that is my inspiration for tonight. I'm going to make a card of 2 halves and I'm hoping it's going to work. In theory, in my head it looks amazing, so I'm hoping I can do it a little bit of justice when we get going. If my Facebook wants to play, it doesn't look like it wants to play today. So, evening Susie, evening Chris. I'm hoping my Facebook's going to catch up. It's not looking hopeful at the moment, but I'm hoping we will be fine. So, I've not done this one either. I know, one of them evenings. Let me get this bit going first, and then we should be good to go. I thought I was really organised, and obviously I'm not tonight. Evening, Victoria. There we go. Right. I am caught up now. So, I'm not. Let me pop you over to this camera so we can get going because I was very kerfuffled then, wasn't I? Evening, Mum. So, at weekend we did a lovely little workshop at Birmingham and I have got a couple of leftover cards, which are proper cards, look. Woohoo. So I'm going to use one of them. So this is a 5x7 that's cut down, so it'll be about 4.5 by 6.5. And I'm going to need a little bit of masking to do this. There we go. Right, I think I've got everything I need now. So my idea is we're going to have our flower, and on one side we're going to colour the background, and on the other we are going to colour the flower. So I need to be a little bit careful with my inky pinkies because you know what I'm like. I get a little bit carried away and I get a little bit splodgy. There we go. So I'm going to take it really slow, she says, and she's already got inky pinkies going. I'm just going to start by inking up our gorgeous focal flower. And I think this one really does just fill your A5 card, your 5x7 cards, doesn't it? It's such a lovely size. I've got a clue what I've inked and what I've not, so I'm just going to quickly go back over. There we go. I'm going to give that a quick twizzy whiz. And what I need to do is kind of get this central on my card. I know I don't normally mind or miser about that bit. However, tonight I need to make sure it's central, otherwise it's going to feel lopsided, isn't it? Just giving that a really good press. And I'll have to share a picture of Rose's jumper with you so you can see where the inspiration for this has come from. So we've got our gorgeous flower, and I need to make sure this is really dry before I get there. So, evening Maxine. I think my Facebook has finally just caught up. I think. So I need to make sure this is dry because we're going to put some sticky on it, and then we're going to put lots and lots of water on it. There we go. Right, I think that should be good to go. And now I need to kind of work out what's the middle of my card. So I'm just using some of this washi tape. I'm going to take a bit of the tack off because I don't want it to stick too much. And then we're just going to place it in the middle of our card-ish. Probably would have done better if I'd have measured that out. Okay, right, so I'm going to start on this side first because it's me bigger of me too. I'm going to do the background on this one. So I'm going to work with, oh, it's going to stick to my table, isn't it? Right, so I'm going to work with my brush. I have my fingers and thumbs tonight. I'm just going to pop a little bit of brush on my desk. And there is nothing difficult about what I am doing at all. I'm just going to splodge my paint on. So this one, I'm doing the background with my brush, with my gamboge. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit. So I could use my inks, my distress oxides, my distress inks, my watercolours, anything you've got that you like working with, your pens, anything. I've just chosen Brusho because it is one of my favourite things to work with. And because this is my background, you'll notice I'm going away from my washi tape because I don't want any water to go underneath that washi tape. It shouldn't do, in theory. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to. I'm going to colour the whole thing. So as always, I'm kind of changing my design as I go, but as always I'm putting a very pale colour down, doing a bit of a colour wash to begin with. And it probably looks like I'm doing absolutely nothing at this point in time, but I promise you there is a very, very pale layer of gamboge going down. And then we will slowly start to add to it. So there's nothing complicated about what we're doing tonight. I could have painted two and then stitched them together, but that would mean I'd have to stamp it in exactly the same place, so I'd need a stamping platform to do that with. And now, ooh, way too much colour there. We're meant to be building up gently, not whacking it on. I want to build the colour. So I'm going to build it around my flower, trying not to let it bleed into my flower. And I want to make it a little bit darker along this line as well. I'm just slowly adding. And I always say nothing I do is difficult at all. Oops. I make it look harder because I end up colouring myself in at the same time, don't I? And we're just splodging. And I'm not liking these harsh bits. Can you see how I've got a really harsh line there? Not liking that at all. So I'm just going to grab a bit more water. And I'm just going to run it out. So if you're working with a water-based ink, you will be fine. Just keep walking it out if you need to. I feel all fingers and thumbs. I try not to cover things up when I'm working on them so you can always see, but it's quite hard to do with this actually. I'm always covering a little bit up. Again, just going in a little bit darker every single time. Ooh, that's well a lot darker. You'd think by now I'd learn to test my colour before I do anything with it. But I never learn, do I? Makes it fun though, doesn't it? Makes it fun to watch. Because you never know what colour's going to come out. I'm just building it up slowly. You know, every time I go back I'm just adding to it. And if I make it look a bit too splodgy, I'm just putting a little bit more water to it. Again, right in here I want some lovely deep yellows, because we're going to have, I've got burnt sienna out, which is a really deep colour. So on this side we need some really deep colour to combat it, don't we? There we go, you can see. Yeah, I'm really starting to get in there now. Haven't decided yet if I want to do a little bit of grey within my flower head. Because part of me is thinking, well, that could look quite nice, and then the other part of me is thinking, no, don't go there, because you know you'll make a mess. And again, it's literally just the end of my brush, using that very raw brush now. And I think I am quite happy with that. But it's lovely, isn't it, to watch it just building up from absolutely nothing. It's that really rich, intense colour. Right, I'm going to stop now, because I think we have more than enough on there. Yeah, so I think that looks pretty cool. Oops. I'm just going to clean out that brush. And then clean up my desk. And I think I am going to put a little bit of grey in there. And I didn't do the best job at stamping this, so where I've slightly, I'll show you in a second, but I've gone over my lines a little bit, can you see? Yeah, gone over my lines a little bit. So, actually if I show you that one, you can see where I've gone over it, where, there at the bottom. I think I'm going to use my black pen just hide a few of me whoopsies over the line. Yep. I want to make sure this is really dry because I am gonna add a little bit of grey, and I only mean a smidge of grey, to our flower. So I might do that afterwards, to be fair. So any moisture I leave in this, it could pick up and bleed, so I am just making sure this is really dry. And I think that should be okay, and I'm just going to lift really carefully my washi tape. Look at that amazing line. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Thank you very much. Now, I could reuse this piece of tape, but 2 reasons I'm not. Can you see the tiniest bit of colour on there? Yep, and that colour is going to be where I want it to be white. So you just know I'm going to wet it, and I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to move it. And also, can you see, because 1, I've heated it, and 2, I've peeled it off, it's all curled. So it's going to take a lot to stick that back down. So I know it feels wasteful, but I am going to use another piece of tape, even though it didn't want to leave my fingers. I'm just going to grab another one, make sure it's long enough. I'm just going to de-tack it a little bit on my top. Literally, I'm just rubbing it on me, across my belly. That's what it was made for, obviously. And then lifting it up and down a few times. And now, I'm just going to stick this on here, right up against that line. Yep. And the only bit that really matters actually is this bit, because I didn't realise I had put this flower, this leaf even. I need to get my petals and my leaves the right way around at the moment, don't I? I hadn't realised I'd left this one completely to that side, so I kind of cheated, didn't I, with that? All good. So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to start adding my colour to my flower now, because that's my background, this is my flower side. So again, we are just going to add very watered down. Make sure your brush isn't too wet actually to start this. There you go, mine had loads of water still in it. I'm just going to start very, very gently adding a little bit of green for my leaf. So there's my pale done. I'm going to start dragging a bit more of my darker in. I love this leaf green because it has like really like yellowy green right to really deep like emerald greens in here, and earthy greens. Again, I'm just building up that colour really slowly because I want to make sure I'm happy and I'm in control of putting this colour down. As you can see, again, I'm just adding more and more, really, really deep. But there's absolutely nothing complicated about what I'm doing. It's so easy. All those different colours into our leaf. I quite like that. I think I'm going to leave that for now. And now we can do our gorgeous flower head. So again, I do clean up my desk as I go with my brush though, because one too many times I put my hand in it and I end up all multicoloured, and that's never a good look, is it? I know, I normally end up looking like a smurf, which is not good. I'm just going to dry this bit off. You can actually see how much water, I don't know if you can, but you can see my card rippled. You can see how much water I've actually put on that card. So you can see how much I've layered that up. Oh, it's sticky from the tape, I need to be careful with that. Right, and then we're on to this bit. Just want to make sure. Right, I've only really stuck that bit down that's next to me on my flower. We've got this burnt sienna. It is a beautiful, deep, rich red. A bit like the aged mahogany of Brush Show. So again, we're just going to find a dry bit of kitchen roll. And then start to activate it a little bit. I've gone a bit over the top there. Let's take a bit off my brush. There we go. And then we're just going to start layering it up nice and gently. Evening, Rachel. And again, I'm just going for all over coverage. And now let's start adding. Look at that for a deep colour. A little bit too dark to start off with, but hey ho. We'll just work one petal at a time. Knock it back when we need to, when we're not quite happy. And sometimes you need to take the moisture out of your brush to get that real depth of colour, like I did then. There we go. I'm going to turn it and just keep going. Doo, doo, doo. You could do this with any image, couldn't you? You'll notice I keep going back as well, so when I've got a slightly different shade on my brush, I do keep going back. I've got to be careful on this side as well, because I know I'm the inky pinky queen, aren't I? So I need to be really careful when it comes to touching my card. I did try, you know, like the sponges they use for makeup, you know, when you have to like rest your hand on, when you apply makeup and you've got to like rest your hand on people, you can get like a pad, and I tried one of them because somebody recommended it, and boy did I make more of a mess. That ended up full of ink, and well, it just ended up like a giant sponge then, didn't it? So instead of having inky pinkies, it left like splodges everywhere. But I'm sure it's a good idea for those of you that aren't as heavy-handed and a bit more subtle than me. But it just builds up. See, I'm getting lots and lots of water again on it. What card do I use? I use 300 GSM. No matter what I'm working on, I always use 300 GSM with my stuff. And at the moment, you'll notice it does look a little bit crinkled, but it does flatten back out really well. So it's just normal white wove 300 GSM, and the reason I use a white wove is because it hasn't got a sheen to it. So it's not been over processed, so it's not a shiny card, it's more of a matte. So it just grips your ink, but not too much because you still want it to move. And I like 300 because it's got a really good weight to it. There we go. Right, I've gone quiet on time. I'm concentrating. There we go. Right, I'm going to stop there because it's looking rather nice. And I've got a tendency to overfaff. I don't blame you. Orange, yellows, reds this time of the year are just perfect, aren't they? So are purple and oranges and greens. We should do that, shouldn't we? Like a spooky theme one. I've got it all over my desk again. Let me just wipe that off my desk. We'll give my card a bit of a clean, and that'll be a moment of truth whether I've got this right or not. Ooh, my desk. My spray was making a really weird noise then. You know, you can hear it like whistling. And I know a few of you have been asking about the sprays. We haven't got any in stock at the moment, but they are on order, so they should be here in the next week or two. Because I didn't realise we got so low on them. We had one of those I told you so moments. Mr. Roo kept saying, we're definitely low on them. I could say, no we're not, there's a whole box full of them. And he kept going, no, I don't think there is. And I have to admit at this point he was right. Because I'd reused the box. So on one hand, I didn't have a box of sprays, but I did find a load of my cello bags that I thought I'd used. Look at that. Ooh, I'm pretty chuffed with myself. She says, come on, just get to the end now. Thank you. Oh, how pretty is that? And I definitely do want to put a little bit of shading on there as well. So I'm going to use a little bit of grey, and I'm in my head I'm going, do I want to use Brusho, which could be quite intense and I'd have to apply a lot of water, or should I go more to a bit of oxide, which will give it a different feel, won't it? And I think I'm going to go to oxide because I shouldn't. I said, did you like that I shouldn't have to add as much water to it. She says, and can she find the ink that she wants? Probably not. Bear with me one moment. Oh, there it is, hang on. It might be in here. Ow. No. I wanted lost shadow, and it's not there. Right, bear with 1 minute. I will find it because I know it's in this cupboard. There it is. Yay! Found it. That's when Bear normally shouts at me, isn't it, for messing up his cupboard that he sorted out into colours. I've got to admit, it was a lot more easier to find when it was all in colours. Right, so I'm not going to want much of this at all. I could have just used a pen, to be honest. And I'm going to want it quite concentrated, so not too much water. Because I also don't want to pick up too much of the Brusho, because once I hit it, the Brusho, with anything wet, it reactivates. So I just want a little bit, a little hint of colour, nothing too much in there. Because I want to embrace that white space. So can you see there's just that teeniest, tiniest? No, you can't see, can you? There you go, you can. Just about see that little bit of grey. I know it's there. You guys know it's there too. I didn't want to use hickory smoke because I think that would have been a bit too much. There we go. And then all I'm going to do on this side, because I'm going to put a little bit more on this side. So I'm just going to pop it. I'm going to give my leaf a bit of shadow too. Now part of me is going, yes, I should have been brave and got the Brusho. However, I think this will work just as well. And what's nice is every time I do touch a bit of the Brusho, it is kind of picking up that colour as well. So yes, it's grey, but it's got like a hint of the like the red coming through as well. And I am just going to pop a little bit down here as well, down my stalk. Sometimes if you're painting with your oxide, you do need to add, like I'm trying to use it as concentrated as possible, but it might not move on your brush, so you do, even though you don't want to, you do need to sometimes add that little bit of water just to get it shifting, because otherwise you can spend all day trying to make it move. There we go. I think stop faffing. You can see I'm picking up the Brusho again, so I'm going to just stop faffing now. Yeah, I know it looks like I've done absolutely nothing, but hopefully it's just added a bit of depth to our flower. So just clean that off, pop you in there. Yeah. Right, so before I do anything else, let's give it a bit of a dry. I'm really chuffed how this is turning out, I've got to admit. My ideas don't always work, but I think it's coming good tonight. But I will admit it is totally different to what I pictured in my head as well. Right, so I'm just going to touch it up with a bit of black pen, and the reason I'm doing that is two reasons. One, I've missed my lines in a few places, so like on this bit down here, don't know whether know you can quite see. You can't actually. On camera it doesn't look that bad at all, but I've just gone over with my orange here. So I'm just going to use my pen. And I'm just going to extend that line a little bit. And you know what? You can't tell at all. That's it. And where I didn't quite stamp it right, I'm just going to add it in as well. Absolutely borrow it, Maxine. I've borrowed it from Rosie. Well, Rosie's jumper. And I am just touching up as I'm going along here. Anything that looks, see here as well, I've taken my oxide, oh there we go, that's better. Can you see I've taken my oxide over my black line? That'll never do, will it? So I am going to just go back in and jump back on top. There we go. But bearing in mind it is oxide, so it does have a bit of a paddy when you try and cover it up. And the best thing is, because, oh there you go, I'd gone over a bit on the red bit there. Best bit is because it's such a sketchy design, no one, let me just go out for that bit of red there. See, no one knows where it's meant to be and where it isn't meant to be. Yeah, there we go. I could have done it in like embossing powder or something, but then I'd have had to be careful I don't melt my embossing powder when I came to dry it. But look at that. I am so chuffed with that. Not quite sure how we're going to finish it off, but where have I put it? There we go. No, my plan was to draw a line, to actually draw in that solid line, but I actually quite like it not being there, if that makes sense. Could use a pencil, couldn't we? Bet that'd look really nice. Let me glue this together and then it's flat and it'll be easier for me to draw. Because I do want to emphasise that line. I've gone to all that trouble of making sure no inky pinkies. And we've got that lovely crisp line. I really do want to make a bit of a feature out of it. So before I do anything else, I'm going to stick this down. And a few of you have asked as well for me to redo the workshop we did at weekend. So on Wednesday I will do a quick poly plate. Well, basically we'll redo the card we did at weekend. So we will do a poly plate with a bit of a smoosh going on. Take it a little bit slower. Oh, I'm so chuffed with this. It looks really cool. I'm so tempted to do a doodle around the edge, but I don't think, part of me wants to, part of me doesn't. But I have just spied on my desk. I don't want to put the happy birthday on because that'd be a bit too big. Oh, how perfect is that from last month's month to make? Life is better with flowers. I'm going to put that across the bottom. I should have done it before I stuck it down. But to be fair, I only saw the stamp on my desk as I was sticking it down. So there we go. Oops. Come on. Thank you. Get my black. I think this is another one of those that would make a really nice notelet. You know, I like to have a box of cards I just give, you know, when you don't know you're going to need a card. Like we know somebody who's leaving school this week, so it's nice just to send a little card in, isn't it, to thank them for everything. Oh, I do love it. Oh, I'm just going to dry that because because I do want to put foam pads on it to raise it a little bit off my card. I could stick it flat, absolutely. And you know what, I've made this really hard for myself, haven't I? What we could have done was stamped it again and decoupage those two bits on, which would have looked just as nice. And then I wouldn't have had to have been as terrified of going over my line. Terrified's not quite the word, but you know what I mean. Conscious of going over my line. I'm going to pop that down on my desk. I hope my desk is clean for a moment. Maybe not in my case. Just going to pop a couple of foamy pads on here. There we go. Oh, look at that. I never do anything so neat and tidy. I am really chuffed. Let's pop that on there. And there you go. I am so pleased with how that's turned out. You probably can't tell, can you, that I'm that pleased. It's a little bit tacky, so I just need to put a little bit of anti-static bag would be a good idea, wouldn't it? If I can find it. Yeah, because it's still very, very tacky. So I just want to give it a quick rub over with an anti-static bag, and that will just stop that tackiness over it. But I absolutely love that. It's not that much different to what was in my head. Well, maybe a bit. I was only going to just splodge around the flower, but I'm glad I've done the whole panel, to be honest. And I've resisted the urge to doodle around the edge as well, which I'm still, would that look good or not? But I am so pleased with that. It worked. So let me find my mouse. So there you go. That is it from me tonight. Thank you for joining me. We'll be back on Wednesday morning at 10:30. I always get my Rachel says, what a fab technique. I know. I will put a picture of Rosie's top that inspired me, because she sewed it all together yesterday, and as she was doing it I went, I bet we could do something like that on a card. And it kind of, you know, and it's one of them little like, oh, it gets stuck in there, and it's worked, though hers is in stripes, so I might have to try it again but with more stripes, see if that works. Anyway, Wednesday morning 10:30 we will be going through the mini workshop. In my box over there, not happening, to do the polyplate and the textures that we did at weekend. So those of you that joined us at weekend, there'll be a little recap of how we did our cards, because there were some beautiful cards made at weekend on our stand, and it's just lovely to see what everyone made, and it was lovely to be back as well, because it's been a while since we had a show where we got to see people. So yeah, it was lovely. So that is it for me today. Wednesday 10:30 we will do a quick polyplate, some textures, some flowers, though I think it was Rachel that did a beautiful card using the cup and a flower, and little lady did one as well, so we might borrow that technique off Rachel on Wednesday morning using our gorgeous coffee cup. I think that's going to be my plan. Polyplate, textures and the coffee cup with a flower on Wednesday morning at 10:30, so I do hope you can join me then. Thank you. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you all again very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.